Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that overachieved a little bit this year, making the 8th seed, winning in the play-in game, obviously lost in the play-in game last year. And this is a really very young team, but also a very good team. Looking at the offseason guide here, they have about $11 million in cap space. They have the 17th overall pick, and they don't really have a big-time free agent. So this young core will be able to stick around for a while. Now, as I mentioned, the young core. This is a team, like I said, that went to the NBA play-in game, won against the Warriors, won against the Spurs, made it to the Jazz, actually took game 1 against the Jazz. And they're led by Morant, who in his second year was phenomenal, even though he missed some time, especially down the stretch. Jaren Jackson Jr. missed a lot of time. Hopefully he'll have a bounce-back season next year. He just was not able to play a lot of games, was hurt, and didn't really get into his groove. Valanciunas, he's one of the most underrated big men in the NBA. Still somewhat relatively young. Kyle Slomo Anderson, he actually played really, really well down the stretch, especially in the playoffs, in the play-in, actually establishing himself as a pretty good forward for this team. Dillon Brooks was a beast this year, establishing himself as the primary two-guard beside Ja Morant. Grayson Allen proved he can be a 3-and-D, well not 3-and-D, more 3 than D type of guy for a playoff team. Anthony Melton was pretty good for this team down the stretch. And then a steal that they got in the draft last year was Desmond Bane. He can knock down the three a little bit. He can score. He's pretty good as a rookie. I believe he made an all-rookie team. Maybe not. But I want to say he did. And then Brandon Clark, a guy that they got in the draft last year, was pretty good for him as well this year. Now, looking at the stats from this year's team, Ja Morant led this team at the age of 21. Or at least he was 21 going into this season. He's still 21. Birthday coming up next month, though. He led this team, averaging 19 points per game, 7.5 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, just over 3 turnovers per game. But a phenomenal season from the young guard. Dillon Brooks, 17 points per game, as well as 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 1 steal. Jonas Valanciunas, as I mentioned, was pretty good for him this year. 17 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, and 2 assists, as well as almost a block per game. Jaren Jackson Jr., he only played in 11 games during the regular season. He averaged 14 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. So as I mentioned, Jaren not exactly getting his normal season. Never really got his legs under him. Never really got back on track. As last year, he averaged about 17 points per game. So he should be back and better next year. Kyle Anderson, 12.5 points per game. Grayson Allen, 11 points per game. Brandon Clark, 10. Desmond Bane, 9. D'Anthony Melton, 9. And then Xavier Tillman, 6.5. Now, looking at their salary cap table, Gorgui Dieng is the person that they owe the most money to. Or at least this year he was. Dion Waiters. They had a lot of dead cap this season, close to 30 or over 30 million. But looking at their actual payroll, they're not owing too many guys too much money. Jonas Valanciunas, he's owed about 14 million. Justice Winslow, that $13 million player option will almost certainly not be picked up. So you're looking at another 13 million to spend. So now you're up to close to 24 million in cap space. Dillon Brooks, he's on a great deal. Kyle Anderson's on a good deal. Ja Morant's on a good deal. Tyus Jones. They need to do something similar to what the Hawks did last year. I feel like you got all these guys on young rookie contracts. Go ahead and go pick up a stud. Or not a stud, but a couple of good role players like the Hawks did with Bogdanovich, with trading for Clint Capella, trading for signing Danilo Gallinari. Go pick up some very, very good complementary players to your young core. Let Ja Morant lead you. Now, will he be as good as Trae Young? I'm not sure. But that's what I'd say the move is right now. Looking at their potential draft scenarios, you got Alperen Sengun, the center from Turkey, who was league MVP when he was a very, very young kid, just 18. You got Cam Thomas, who is a very, very dynamic scorer. Same thing with James Bouknight. Both of them take a lot of shots, but both of them can score the rock. So if you need another scorer off the bench, maybe you're looking at Cam Thomas, James Bouknight. Usman Garuba, he's a good big that you can try to grow and develop. He's only, I believe, 18 as well, dominating in the EuroLeague. Trey Mann, he was good at Florida this year. He can come in and be your backup guard, be a combo guard off the bench for you. If that's what you need, you can bring in Sharif Cooper. It's really whoever you want. There's a lot of different ways you can go with it. Jared Butler, I don't really know who I would pick if I was the Grizzlies right now. Grizzlies fans, let me know down in the comments below. Jared Butler, he's another solid option at point guard, backup point guard. He could be a pretty good player for you off the bench. And looking at this, the time is now for this Memphis Grizzlies team. Ja Morant, he's ready to go. He's ready to lead his team back to the playoffs and go on an even bigger, longer run this time than he was last time. Same thing with Dillon Brooks. This backcourt is going to be really good for the next few years. Both of them are under contract for the next 2 years, and they're both under really good contracts, very team-friendly contracts. They need to go ahead and get some guys, some complimentary guys around them, as I mentioned. And then Jonas Valanciunas, who is a beast in the paint. He's also very young, or not very young, but he's relatively young on a good contract. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. That is going to be it for today's video. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you enjoyed. It really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.